Let me just point out, if I might, that we are 29 days into a Democrat shutdown. And the senator from New Mexico was absolutely right. SNAP recipients shouldn't go without food. People should be getting paid in this country. And we've tried to do that 13 times. You voted no 13 times. This isn't a political game. These are real people's lives that we're talking about. And you all have just figured out, 29 days in, that, there might be some consequences. There are people who run out of money. Yeah, we're 29 days in. And they've done their best to make sure that a lot of these programs are funded. But at some point, the government runs out of money. 13 times, people over here voted to fund SNAP. 13 times they voted to fund WIC.
So it is the Martha Zoller Show. That's John Thune. Got a little bit, for him, he's very calm, cool, and collected. Got a little bit annoyed yesterday. It is the Martha Zoller Show, and you can join us on the phones at 770-535-2911. Because look, I want to be very clear, because Otis was really on my mind yesterday because he called in for the first time in a long time, and it just struck me that he may be listening to me, but he's not hearing what I say, because I criticize both sides on this. I think Chuck Schumer is an embarrassment right now with the language he's using on X and on social media about our country, about the president, and about it. It reeks of desperation, and it's not professional. Okay? I think there's a big problem with Chuck Schumer because he's afraid of he's not afraid of his constituents, clearly. He's afraid of the people that give him money. Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I'm using her as an example because she is a Republican. She had a net worth of $700,000 when she came into Congress a few years. Her net worth is now $20 million. She is not alone in that example. And there are too many people in the Congress, the Senate, that are getting this $174,000 a year, but have huge net worths now after being in Congress 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. And there's many, many examples on the left too. In fact, most of the people that stay long enough make a lot of money. John Thune was a wealthy man coming into this. And I'm not just trying to make this about wealth. The reason why I point that out is because there's a lot of people that you might think are pure as the new driven snow that are not. Everybody's got an agenda. Okay, everybody's got an agenda that's in an elected office. And you have to meld these agendas to be able to get things done. So here we are on day 30, I think it is, of this shutdown. And President Trump is coming back. He had a very successful trip with China. We'll talk more about that. Meeting with China. We'll talk more about that. Interest rates were lowered yesterday. People are trying to go on. But you can exchange the names any way you want to. Okay, but right now, in today, in the year of our Lord 2025, on the 30th day of October, the Democrats are in the minority in the United States Senate, which means they sometimes have to cooperate with the majority to get things done. That's what that means. If it were reversed and Mitch McConnell, who was the last leader that was in the minority of the United States Senate, he had to work with Chuck Schumer to be able to get things done. Chuck Schumer is taking the position that Republicans have to come to him to get things done. I think that he is a person that should be forgotten, if you want to know the truth, and that they need to get a new leader. And if he were a man with a conscience, he would announce his resignation from the United States Senate at the end of this term, and then he would do what was right for the American people. If he were a man with a conscience. But he's clearly not. He only cares about power. And I will call out anybody. I had somebody, I said something like this on X this morning, and someone, they always come back with some Trumpism like, oh, yeah, you don't like what Schumer's saying, but you don't care that the president swears. No, you obviously don't listen to me. Don't read what I write on X. Don't see what I talk about. I don't like it when people who are supposed to be in authority use profanity. And I don't like it when the president uses it. So bottom line is, I don't make fun of it. I don't laugh along with it. I think that it's wrong, and I think that he needs to remember that he's president of the United States. But he's not the one at fault here. He said he would sign the budget. He doesn't do the budget, okay? And you might think that these House of Representative people, you want to think that they're all lackeys. They're not, okay? But they do look at things, and they do make sure that things happen, and they passed a budget. And the Senate has had the votes since the 18th of September to pass this. But the Senate Democrats won't do the one thing they're supposed to do, which is vote for cloture, and then allow the Senate to have a vote. They're not representing their constituents. They're representing the people that give them money. Now, we got a few text messages that came in yesterday, and I wanted to be sure that I got these all in order. Walton EMC serves Meta Data Center in Social Circle, Georgia area. No issues. Tucked away in an industrial park. Largest load in Georgia. Meta paid for a solar farm that offsets the power needs. All positive. Negatives, property taxes rose, didn't go down. Don't know where all that so-called money to lower taxes went. Brian and Monroe. Brian, I don't know the particular situation in your data center approval, okay? Because they may not have made a promise to lower your property taxes, or your county is growing really fast. I know home prices have gone up, but also they might be using the money for other things. They might not have done a reduction in property taxes part of the deal. Columbia County is doing that as part of the deal. They have not voted on it yet. They have said they're going to reduce the property taxes for the county side and replace it with the revenue from the data center. And in Hall County, it's still in discussion. The person that wants to build the data center, the company that wants to build the data center, said that they could produce enough revenue to reduce the property taxes here in Hall County. But the county administrator, I think, gave some good advice saying, let's wait and see if it brings in this kind of revenue before we reduce the taxes. And I think that's a prudent thing to do. The challenge is, how long do you wait to prove that the revenue's coming in? Because accountants, which is, our county administrator is a very good one. He's a great young man and very smart but very conservative. He doesn't ever want to be in a situation where the county can't meet their bills. And so he wants to be sure before he recommends any changes to property taxes. And I think that's fair. So, Brian, to answer your question, I don't know what your deal was when you brought in that data center, whether it was supposedly going to lower property taxes, and that's what was voted on by the commission. But I'd be willing to look into that. I got 3 people to vote for the PSC by simply explaining to them that I followed up with, if you don't vote and you gripe about your bill, I'm going to say, I told you so every time I see you. So that's a good one. If you don't vote, don't complain that your property bill goes up. Now, today and tomorrow are the final days of early voting. You can go to the polling places in your county. In Hall County, it's the community centers and the civic center. I think there's 5 of them all together. But go to your My Voter page on the app, the My Voter page app, or go to Hall County Elections. Just Google Hall County Elections, and you can see where the early voting sites are. Then finally, when do we vote in Hall County? Today and tomorrow, early voting in the 5 places. So I don't know where you live, so I can't tell you where the closest place to you is, but I voted at the Civic Center because I happened to be having a Rotary Club meeting there, and I just left out of my Rotary Club meeting and then voted at the Civic Center. So it was great. And but it depends on where you live, where you can vote. And you can vote in any location, but you might want to go to the closest one. Now, on Election Day, which is Tuesday, The polling places will be 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Go to your My Voter page to see what your polling place is. But this is the trick. You can only vote in your polling place on Election Day. The exception to that is if you think you show up at the wrong polling place, you can ask for a provisional ballot. You can go ahead and vote, and then you verify your polling place, and they will count your provisional ballot. So there's lots of ways that if you're confused or you make a mistake or you're not sure what you're supposed to do, that the Hall County or any county voting office will help you with that. We'll take a break.
Keeping you up to date with the latest news and weather. It's what we do every day.
It's the news I trust.
North Georgia's News Talk. AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN. Always here, always local.
Aren't you glad that cooler weather and the fall planting season is here? This is Kelly, and Full Bloom Nursery is stocking up on beautiful mums and fall annuals. Plus, we're fully stocked with 4 acres of perennial shrubs and trees. Since 2003, Full Bloom Nursery has been helping customers all over North Georgia. To get started on your projects, give us a call at 678-616-3035. Visit fullbloomnursery.com for more info, and be sure to like us on Facebook to see what's growing.
Are you frustrated with your contacts? Have your glasses become more of a burden? Well, don't suffer. Hi, this is Kim. Here at Advanced Eye Center, we offer all laser LASIK to free your eyes. When you consider not only the amount of money you pay for all of that eye gear, but also the amount of time you spend handling contacts, glasses, cases, solution, and eye drops, how can you not afford to have LASIK? Invest in you. Save your money. Save your time at Advanced Eye Center. Vision correction for all ages.
You wouldn't want someone you couldn't trust working on your family's HVAC and plumbing, so why would you call anyone but Gainesville Mechanical? They're your local, most trusted and award-winning HVAC and plumbing company in North Georgia. From maintenance appointments and clogged drains to plumbing emergencies and new system installations, their team is ready to serve you. And with their customer assurance maintenance plan, you can receive discounts, priority scheduling, and 24/7 no overtime rates. Gainesville Mechanical and Bryant, doing whatever it takes since 1989.
Let's go! You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Let's go! Hey, listen to this. All I needed was a new starter. Got a great deal on eBay. Did it myself.
Yeah, that's cool. But how about the soft purr of an upgraded exhaust when it fits just right?
For me, it's the little things, like these new windshield wipers from eBay I installed.
From small fixes to big upgrades, eBay has all the parts you need at prices you'll love, guaranteed to fit every time. eBay, things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, City of Flowery Branch announces the hiring of a new deputy chief of police with a colorful past history and leadership. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
It would be the death. It would be the death of the Democratic Party. The Republicans are licking their lips, hoping this kid, Mamdani, wins because they can pick him up and carry him around the country and say, here's the Democratic Party, 34-year-old, never had a job, wants to decriminalize prostitution, doesn't like the police, defund the police, abolish jails. Literally a socialist, anti-business, anti-corporate. Government should control the means of production. That's what their first motto. That's Marxism. So this socialist wing wins, the Democratic Party dies.
So it is the Martha Zoller Show. That's Andrew Cuomo, who is fighting hard in these last few days before the election. Former Mayor Michael Bloomberg has given $1.5 million to a pro-Cuomo super PAC. I can tell you that, if he didn't see some numbers that showed that Cuomo was close, then he wouldn't give this money, because he has stayed on the sidelines, really. And I don't know how much $1.5 million can do this late in the game, but I'm sure it's a get out the vote kind of funding to get people out to vote, because the only way that Andrew Cuomo is going to win is if, there's a big, huge turnout from average people in New York City. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. You can join us on the phones at 770-535-2911. There's a lot of things that we can talk about today, and we are going to talk about it. But we got to get the government back open again. The president has already moved money around so that there was a month of funding. And I can tell you states like Georgia have enough money to put it in there and to fund it. What Governor Kemp said today, but if we do this today, then what are they going to expect from us tomorrow? He believes that the Senate needs to do their job. So I don't know that he won't use Georgia rainy day funds to fund SNAP in Georgia, but he'll get some pressure to do that. But I think there needs to be some pressure put on Senator Warnock and Senator Ossoff to flip their votes over. If they flip their votes over to cloture again, like they did on Friday for a different bill, that's 2 out of the 6 that we need. Maryland and Virginia should definitely do it because they have a lot of federal workers, as well as people that are on SNAP benefits. So if we can get those 3 states to flip their senators and get them over just for the cloture vote, they can still vote no to open the government if they want to, but bring it to a vote. I think basic fairness tells you to bring it to a vote and then get to the negotiating table. Now, we got a text message in that said the majority of our politicians on both sides are no longer working for America and the American people. Until we demand that the lobbyists are eliminated and the PPP politicians will get wealthy. I don't know what that means. What are PPP politicians?
Maybe they're referencing like the PPP loans that people took out during COVID.
I don't know. Well, if you want to send us a message on that, I'm not sure what you mean there, but I get the gist of your message. Their donors get them to vote by paying them through the backdoor foundations. They are not for we the people. They are for the politicians. And it does look more like that in a situation like this. Because if you really cared about the American people, and this is why every time Republicans have been in the minority, they have voted for cloture and they have voted for the CRs. This is the same CR that has been voted on 13 times by these same people and been passed. So I just think that we've got to make sure that you get the message up to these United States senators that are on the edge. And I think that's what John Thune is doing now. I think that's what the president is doing now. He is spending his time on the actual senators that need to flip their vote. There was a House of Representatives member who was up in arms about this whole thing, and she voted no. And, she's up in arms. She voted no on the funding of SNAP on her vote on the House side. But yet she's complaining that the money's running out for SNAP. And she is not encouraging her own senators to change their vote from no to yes on cloture. And this is what it just doesn't make any sense. And so let me explain again what cloture is. Joni always points this out to me that I use these terms that you may not know. But cloture is basically another word for the filibuster. And it is a vote that you have to have in the United States Senate to protect the minority, so that in order to bring something to a final vote, you have to get 60 votes. It used to be 67. During the civil rights era, they changed it from 67 to 60, which is still really hard to get. But that is how the President Obama, got ACA passed, because he was able to invoke cloture on his ACA vote, and then they took the vote on the ACA. So this has happened many, many, many times. Many times people vote for cloture, which is to bring the vote to a final vote. I know it doesn't make sense, but this is just the way the rules are. It's the rules of the Senate. The Constitution gives wide latitude for the rules of the Senate. and then it goes to a final vote. So you could vote for cloture, and then you could still vote no. But almost I think 36 Democrats voted with the Republicans, and you're not hearing from any of them on the House side. But there's this one woman who I think they are grooming to be a new voice. And she was all over the news yesterday. I ought to get her name, but I don't want to give her any more publicity than she deserves. But she was all over the news yesterday talking about how the Senate needs to stand firm, but isn't it terrible these SNAP benefits are going to run out, that children are going to starve? Yet she voted no on the CR. She voted not to fund the program she's complaining doesn't have funding. You can't make this stuff up, folks. You can't make this stuff up. So here's what I'm going to say. Clear the deck. Senators, you need to clear the deck. You need to turn your phones off for a moment after you listen to me. And then you need to vote your conscience. And if your conscience tells you that you need to die on this hill, then, fine. Do what you got to do. But I don't believe that in the 6 or 8 senators that are in states that Donald Trump won, and I'll verify that list when we go to the break, the 6 or 8 senators that are in states that Donald Trump won, that they are not getting some pushback from their constituents, who is who they're supposed to represent, about voting for cloture and letting this thing go to a final vote and get this nightmare over. We'll be back.
What if I'm survived by a child or a grandchild with special needs? How can I provide for them after I'm gone? This is Kevin Tharp, elder law and estate planning attorney, and I have over 35 years experience dealing with special needs situations. I can show you how to put together a plan that looks out for them when you no longer can. It's up to you, however, to make the first call. Visit my website, KevinTharpwithane.com, and learn how to get help planning for your family's future.
Whether it's a slip that ends in a slip disc, a trick knee that's holding you back, or shoulder pain hurting your game, you can count on Northside Hospital Orthopedics. With leading care in Georgia at convenient locations all across the state, we're here to get you back on your feet, no matter what comes your way. Because Georgia moves us, and we keep Georgia moving. Find a provider near you at northside.com/ortho. That's northside.com/ORTHO.
Hi folks, Matt Hayes here from Hayes of Baldwin. If you're in the market for a new car, truck, or SUV, take a short drive and come see what North Georgia has to offer. We have 8 brands in one location, a great selection of pre-owned and manufacturer-certified pre-owned vehicles. But that's not all. With 2 large service departments to take care of all your automotive needs, from maintenance, repairs, or just tires and checkups. Hayes offers friendly staff and excellent customer service. With over 50 years of a family-owned and operated business in North Georgia, come see what Hayes has to offer you. Hayes of Baldwin, just 3 miles north of Hall County on Highway 365.
Tune in to 2 hours of local football fun with the Pick'em Show, coach interviews, game previews, and general mayhem. So join Bo, Caleb, Jeff, and Walker Thursday nights at 6 on AM 550 and FM 102.9, or video stream them on YouTube at Access WDUN Sports. WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 9:30.
News, I'm Therese Crowley. President Trump flying home from Asia for a White House Halloween after the crowning deals in Asia in his meeting with China's President Xi.
From 0 to 10, with 10 being the best, I would say the meeting was at 12.
Fox's Doug Luzader.
Both sides really lowered the temperature, with China agreeing to buy U.S. soybeans and allow the export of rare earth elements. And while Trump said the thorny issue of Taiwan did not come up. The two sides did agree to work together on Ukraine, he said.
And returning to the U.S. government shutdown day 30 with no paychecks, air traffic staffing issues piling up with a ground stop at Biswick Newark Liberty last night. French police arrest 5 more suspects in the Louvre heist, hoping to retrieve the French crown jewels, now with 7 in custody. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow. A Wednesday morning wreck in Winder claims the life of a pedestrian. WDUN's William Daughtry reports.
A preliminary investigation by the Georgia State Patrol indicates a Kia Optima was traveling north on Georgia 11 while a pedestrian was traveling south in the northbound lane. The Kia struck the pedestrian, with the impact sending the pedestrian to the east shoulder of the roadway. The pedestrian was taken to Northeast Georgia Medical Center, Gainesville, where they were pronounced dead. The identities of the driver and pedestrian have not been released.
The new Deputy Chief of Police for Flowery Branch has a controversial past. WDUN's Caleb Hutchins explains.
The department announced on Monday that they hired former Glynn County Police Chief John Powell. Powell was fired from that role 10 months after being placed on leave following an indictment alleging a violation of oath of office. Powell was placed on administrative leave in February of 2020, just days after Ahmaud Arbery was fatally shot. Powell's department did not make any arrests until the GBI took over the case 2 months later. The Georgia Supreme Court threw out the indictment in 2024 due to an alleged cover-up of a narcotics officer's affair with an informant.
And Toccoa police asked for the public's help to find 27-year-old Christian Staton. He was last seen near the McDonald's restaurant on Big A Road back in May of this year. A full description and image of Staton can be found with more news at Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN weather forecast.
North Georgia, mostly cloudy skies is what we've been dealing with. Into the afternoon, mostly cloudy, but you'll start to notice some breaks towards evening. Skies will turn partly cloudy, mid-50s for highs. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Talmo, 49 degrees, Murrayville, 46, and in Gainesville, 47. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Looking for a mower that's built to last? Look no further than Cub Cadet. At Howard Brothers, they've got the Cub Cadet lineup that delivers power, performance, and precision. But here's the best part. When you buy from them, you're not just getting a mower, you're getting service, support, and a team that's here long after the sale. Don't just buy a Cub Cadet mower from anywhere. Buy it where you can service it. At Howard Brothers, serving your community since 1955.
It's Mike Robertson of Oakwood Tire and More. As our name suggests, we can handle all your tire needs, but some have asked what we mean when we say and more. At Oakwood Tire, we're more than just tires. We also handle general repair, we handle alignments, brakes, AC service, suspension work. Speaking of suspension work, if you're looking to upgrade your ride, we can put tires, wheels, lift kit, anything like that on there. See us at www.oakwoodtire.com. Stop by at 3120 Atlanta Highway, where we're more than just tires.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
I think Gen Z is going to be a lot more conservative. I think that just my experience knowing Gen Z kids, my kids and their friends and whatever, I sense a much more skepticism of, and I think it is a reaction to Gen Xers and millennials forcing on them progressive views in school. And I think that there's going to be, I think there are going to be some conservatives. This is my general impression.
Yeah,
I don't fight.
That was an early read. That was an early read of Gen Z, and then a kind of a beta, but it may be what ends up happening.
So it is the Martha Zoller Show, and Lisa Wexler's joining me right now. And Lisa, I was thinking about this election coming up in New York, and how one thing that Van Jones said a couple of weeks ago, that one of the things that really concerns him is that there's about 1 billion young people in the world that have been taught that socialism is great and nobody has pushed back on it. And you've got a lot, and that was Jake Tapper talking about how his sense is that this generation that's coming behind this very progressive generation is going to be a lot more conservative. So just before we talk about the New York mayor's race, just kind of your thoughts on what you're seeing, because you get out there all the time. You're a local elected official. You're a probate judge. You're at every march. You're at every talk. And even though you're in a blue state, I'm sure you're observing how these kids are responding to things.
Well, I think that it's been, so I'm a little bit cocooned because it's sort of like a subsection of the kids that I really get to look at close up, and they tend to be more affluent than I would say the general population. But nonetheless, and frankly, it's perverse, right? Because even though they're children of affluent people, it seems that some of them are leading the march toward these very socialist progressive policies. That's why I always say that they are Lenin's definition of useful idiots. Like, I don't get it. And by the way, Mamdani is an example of that.
Yes.
He, at 32 years old, was raised going to the most elite schools around New York City, and he never had to want for anything. And the fact that he's connected with working class people speaks to, I guess he's eloquent, I guess. I'm really not willing to concede that he's anything. But I think it speaks to a fundamental insecurity. But I also think that the polls showed that he's overwhelmingly more supported in New York by non-native born populations than by native born populations. And that was a really interesting poll that came out this week. So he is speaking to people who just got here of a bunch of different ethnicities, many of them Arab American, many of them whatever, Indian American. And even though he came from Africa, I think he was 7 or 9 years old, he was educated in the most elite schools, yet he's speaking to them about their insecurities. I mean, the truth is it's always been difficult to climb up the ladder here. But the irony is that traditional immigrant populations in this country have embraced and loved capitalism more than anybody else. More than anybody else. I mean, you go to Miami and Cuba, they're all conservative Republicans there because they fled Castro and they understand socialism firsthand. We seem to be seeing a different immigrant population now that's populating some of our inner cities. And they are not as maybe as successful as getting the American dream. I don't know.
You know, it's funny, and they're approaching the American dream differently. I think it's because, all right, so I've had a bunch of work done to my house in the last 6 months, and I have had conversations with a lot of workers that are mostly immigrants that come in and do this, and they've been here for long periods of time, and you know, they're legal, but I don't know if all their workers were. I'll be honest with you about that. But they all brought this thing that they would all tell this similar story about how they came here and then they bought a truck and they started this little business with one truck. And this guy that poured the concrete of my driveway, he says now he has 10 trucks and he is employing all these people. And it's kind of the American dream kind of thing where you start with a small thing and then you build up. But we got in this way with immigrant populations is we stopped bringing them in with sponsors, which sort of helped keep people on the straight and narrow. We started giving them a lot of benefits for coming across the border that were kind of unearned. And I think that the problem is that when you give people things, I don't care who it is, after a while they start to think they deserve more instead of how do I get off of this help and work harder. Does that sound crazy?
No, but there is that. And there is also the sense of a lot of people of the futility. This is young people that may have grown up in affluent homes who are non-immigrant. They feel that they're exhausted and that it's futile to try and live up to the American dream their parents did. They can't imagine being able to afford it. And that's another reality.
Yeah, I think that in a way, I think that maybe, you know, our generation maybe protected our children so much from the bad times or like most kids, they don't notice that we were struggling when they were young. You know, I mean, my kids don't think we ever struggled, but we certainly did.
Yeah, but there's the objective reality. I just read a startling statistic, Martha, that nationwide, the average single-family house now is about $458,000, approaching $500 by the end of this year.
Well, and you know what the
only
average
2
age
or 3 years ago, it was in the threes.
And do you know
So
what the
things have
average
really
the
go ahead.
average age of a first home buyer is?
No.
38.
Is it over 30?
38.
So let's
That's a
talk.
problem.
That's a reality.
Yes.
That is a problem.
Yes. Because we got on the property ladder when we were in, our 20s. And
right.
it was one of those things. You got out of college, you lived in an apartment for 2 or 3 years, you saved your money, and for
Correct.
$10,000 or $15,000, you could put a down payment on a house. My
On
first house,
a condo, or something.
yeah, my
something.
first house
Yes.
was $80,500.
Yep.
And the next house I bought was $130,000, and then
Mm-hmm.
the house I'm living in now was $220,000 when we bought it, but we've lived there 27 years, and.
Right.
So, yeah, I realize I think it's a legitimate issue that a lot of young people have, but it concerns me that they really haven't been taught the lessons of capitalism in school. And I take it all the way back, and I know we're going in a little different direction here, but I love that about us. I take it back to where they lumped social studies together in elementary school and about the time when our kids were, 9, 10, 11 years old. And instead of teaching things separately like history, geography, economics, they lumped it all together. And, we just in Georgia put back personal finance as a part of our economic standards because we were too focused.
In Connecticut last year.
Yeah, we're too focused on the
year.
theory and not enough on what it takes to live.
Yeah. No, so there's all these pressures. You've got 60% of people now entering college that are women, only 40% of men. We've got lost young men whom the academic system is failing. Then they get into their 20s and they can't make an adequate living. And then they're frustrated and resentful. There's like a lot of forces at work at the same time. But fundamentally, I think the problem is, and it does go back somewhat to school, but in general, is that they're being taught that the easy shortcut way of give me more unearned is a better solution than how do I earn more?
Look,
because that's what socialism is. Socialism is, I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to take it from people that have earned it, and I'm going to give it to you, as opposed to teaching you a way to earn it yourself.
Absolutely. And even I can remember times when I was in my 20s and I got credit for the first time, and I got a little overwhelmed with it. And I remember going to my parents, and my parents said, no, they weren't going to give me any money to help me with this, because my thought was, if you just give me this money, then I'll catch up and I'll never do this again. And I learned a better lesson at 21 years old, having to pay it off myself. And then I never did get it into it again.
Well, your parents were tough in the best possible way. They taught you a lifelong lesson.
Yeah.
A lot of parents today won't do that, Martha. They will not. They will come from their pockets, and they will not. And that's another conversation. But you're right. But I mean, there's a lot of conversation. But the answer of and then the other piece, and you talk about history and English, you're right, is that socialism may sound good, but it never works in real life.
It never works in real life.
It doesn't work. It doesn't buy into the human striving, the human greed, the human everything. It doesn't buy into it. It disincentivizes an entire society. And overall, everyone's standard of living goes down. And they're not learning that lesson.
No, I mean, it's like what Margaret Thatcher said famously, socialism is great until you run out of other people's money. And what will happen in New York if Mamdani is elected? And, Mayor Bloomberg just put $1.5 million in to get out the vote for Andrew Cuomo, and I don't think he would have done that if the polls didn't look like they were tightening up. So, who knows what's going to happen next week? Maybe a miracle will happen. But a guy like Mamdani doesn't understand that right now, from what I understand, and you spent some time in South Florida, the real estate agents in Florida are flooded with people with money from New York saying that if this happens, we want to look for a house down here.
Well, not to mention Connecticut, where I really am.
Yes.
It's unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Lisa Wexler, thank you so much for being with us today.
It's always a pleasure. Thank
you. We're going to take a break, and then we'll be back.
In North Georgia,
It's the topics that matter to me.
we're your eyes and ears in the community with the latest breaking news.
It's the most important thing we face.
AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN. Always here, always local.
Would you take advice on how to collect money from the folks that owe it to you? That's exactly what you do when you let an insurance company steer you to their contract shop. At Nichols Body Shop, we earn our customers one at a time. We depend on repeat customers and referrals to keep our shop busy. When you need a repair shop, please consider picking a shop that works for you. Nichols Body Shop in Flowery Branch, where the best sign of a quality repair is no sign at all. Find us on Facebook or call 770-967-8200.
There's nothing better than a home-cooked Thanksgiving dinner, unless it's one that you didn't have to cook. This is Grant Nichols inviting you to spend Thanksgiving with us at Loretta's Country Kitchen. We'll be serving up a traditional Thanksgiving feast from turkey to pumpkin pie and everything in between, all made from scratch. Keep your kitchen clean. Join us Thanksgiving Day from 10:30 a.m. until 2 p.m. at Loretta's Country Kitchen, Mundy Mill Road, Oakland, where we're truly thankful for you.
Fall is planting time in North Georgia. This is Julie from Full Bloom Nursery, and now is the perfect time to plant pansies, perennials, shrubs, and trees. Planting in the fall gives your new plants time to become established without the stress of heat and dry weather. We've got over 4 acres of plants for you to choose from, so come see us for all your fall projects. Our knowledgeable staff will help you pick out the right plant for the right spot. Be sure to like us on Facebook and visit us on the web at fullbloomnursery.com.
Estate planning isn't stressful when you have someone holding your hand throughout the process. Hi, I'm Haley Brock, attorney and owner of Kimbrough Law. We know what it's like to sit down with a lawyer who gives you a list of 50 things to do. It's hard to remember everything you hear in a meeting. That's why we give you a written list of exactly what you need to do when you leave our office. Yes, there's a little work involved, but we make things as easy as possible for you. We walk you through the process of completing tasks like funding trusts, changing beneficiary designations, and moving accounts. If you have questions, call us and we will guide you. Are you ready to create or update your estate plan while feeling supported every step of the way? Kimbrough Law can help. Call 706-850-6910 to schedule a confidential consultation or visit kimbroughslaw.net. That's 706-850-6910 or kimbroughslaw.net.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, Habersham County confirms a positive case of rabies in the Sunshine Circle area of Cornelia. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and I alluded to this piece of audio, so I wanted to go ahead and play it for you. It is it's a House of Representatives, not a state representative person from New Mexico. I want to make sure I get her name right. Stansberry is her last name, and she's arguing with Jake Tapper. If you've lost Jake Tapper, it's time to vote. Here's what they said.
Should the Democratic senators from New Mexico, your home state, vote to open the government so that these SNAP funds are not at risk?
Let me be clear. The administration is choosing to starve American children with money that they already have appropriated.
I'm not applauding their
tactics. The White House. Well, this is a choice by the White House.
This is also, Congresswoman, this is also a choice by Senate Democrats to not vote to open the government. Yes, it is. I understand why they're doing it. They're doing it because they want Medicaid funds restored. They're doing it because they want Obamacare premiums to be extended past the end of the year. I understand the reasoning.
Sir, let me just be clear. The money for contingency plans is sitting there. That is why the states are suing. The White House is withholding funds from
2 to 3 weeks worth of SNAP funds. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it may not be a big deal to you, but let me tell you that for the grandparents, for grandparents that literally are feeding their children,
my point is that it's a short-term solution.
In those accounts,
It's a short term.
At the end of the day, people need to be able to feed their families, and Saturday is when those funds run out.
If you feel so
and
strongly,
we are fighting
Congresswoman,
to get
why
that
not
funding.
ask the Senate Democrats from New Mexico to vote to open the government so that the SNAP funds...
Sir, I am here.
So I love it. To be clear, this woman's name is Stansbury. She voted no. She voted no to open the government. That's the bill that went over on September the 19th over to the Senate. And you know what? Her two senators don't even have to vote for the CR if they don't want to. All they have to do is vote to end the cloture, to end the filibuster. And if they do that, then they can vote any way they want to because we've had the vote since September 19th to keep the government open. This didn't have to happen. It was driven by 5 or 6 Democrats that should have voted with the Republicans because of where they're located. And here's who those Democrats are. John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock of Georgia. Jackie Rosen of Nevada. Dick Durbin is retiring. He is the most free person in this whole group. Now, Illinois is a blue state, but they have a whole lot of people on SNAP funds. A whole lot of people on SNAP funds. He could have voted Gary Peters of Michigan and Tina... I think it's Roberts. I probably wrote it down wrong. I'll look that up again. Tina something from Minnesota. These are the folks they need to be working with. And you know what? They don't care. The people that don't care about the children are the people that say that, that it's only one vote. They have the money, they can appropriate it. Because they're not even talking about appropriating it. What they're talking about is getting some money from other places. Now, here's what I think is going to happen. I think that this is going to go through Tuesday. I think that depending on how the elections come out on Tuesday, if Mamdani doesn't win in New York or any combination of Mamdani losing, the Republicans picking up New Jersey, that would be like an earthquake, and Republicans maintaining control of Virginia, if that happens or any combination of that, that's going to force the Democrats to come to the table. But for time in memoriam, to pass the Voting Rights Act, to pass the Civil Rights Act, to pass Medicare and Medicaid and the ACA, people that didn't agree with those bills voted to invoke cloture, to end the filibuster, and then they voted no on the final bills. But they allowed the bills to go because they had the votes. Let's go to the phones now and talk to Jim in Commerce. Hey, Jim, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. I hope you are too, and keep on the prayer line for our great country. But I got a question. We all understand the huge amount of civil service workers that have been laid off, and it's kind of inconceivable to me as a person spend most of my life in business other than the military, that our federal government would have that many excess people. And then secondly, it's looking like it's also reflected in the retail industry, the retail market. A huge amount of people being laid off in Amazon, Target, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So how do you interpret that? You're expert on analysis. So
well,
how do you feel about this?
I think you're starting to see with Amazon and companies like that this is beginning the kind of transition because of AI taking over a lot of jobs that were done by human beings. And I think that there's going to be, they'll go too far with it. If you want to know the truth, I think that they will get rid of too many people, and then they're going to have to hire some back, because I don't know about you, but I like to talk to human beings sometimes. I don't want to deal with every bit of business I have. I don't mind punching one or talking to a robot every now and then. Okay, I don't mind it. But there's certain things where you got to talk to a human being and get it straightened out. So I think they're going to go too far with it, like they do with most transitions of economies. But we are, Jim, in a transition of economy. And the thing that you are so supportive of, and one of the things that I think you're so right about, is the special scholarships and things like that that you all give to technical education, because those are the kinds of jobs that are not going to be replaced by AI. Okay, your HVAC, your welding, your plumbing, your electrician, all of that sort of thing, construction, that will not be replaced by AI. And there are huge shortages, like hundreds of thousands of jobs that are good paying jobs that we're short people on. Home Depot, 2 weeks ago, Home Depot said they will start doing free certifications on HVAC, electrician, construction, and there was one more. And they will let you do the classes online for no charge, and you will get the certification. And I called up one of our school systems in South Georgia that does not have a technical college within 80 miles of them, but they have a Home Depot. I said, you need to partner up with this Home Depot to get some of your kids educated, because it's a good program. It's a good program. But you know, what I would just like to see is that these elected officials on both sides would start acting like grown-ups and understand what their job is, because it is their job to vote on things. It is not their job to decide what they're not going to vote on. And if they oppose it, vote no. If they are support it, vote yes. But don't vote no and then complain that you didn't get what you wanted.
You know, I'm glad you agree with me, because I've had a struggle, excuse me, for the last 3 years. I don't say struggle, but a little bit slowness in convincing people. I came out of the logistic distribution management career field. Most of my, just about all of my career up north and down here too. But I'm still a member of the Supply Chain Distribution Management Association of America, and they have their headquarters up in Massachusetts.
Well, that's another huge area where they need jobs, is in this, in logistics and distribution. Hey, Jim, we're up against a hard break here because it's right at 10 o'clock, but I do appreciate your call, and thank you so much for always being out there. I appreciate your prayers and your thoughts. Lots more to come right here on the Martha Zoller Show. We'll be back.
Welcomes you to celebrate the grand opening of our new location all month long. Join us for special events every Saturday in October and grand opening offers you can't miss. Bring the family and check out our brand new state-of-the-art dealership and service center. Plus, enjoy food trucks and entertainment for everyone. Visit us today and join the party at 2359 Browns Bridge Road in Gainesville. Your deal, your way. What a great day at Jim Shorkey Gainesville Kia.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Severe from Vicks.
Sinex Severe nasal spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Severe instantly relieves nasal congestion and works 6 times faster than nasal decongestant tablets. The 12 hours of relief allow you to get back to the moments that matter without congestion.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Try Sinex Severe from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use as directed.
WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 10 o'clock.
It's great news for American farmers. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
The Chinese have agreed to buy 12 million metric tons of soybeans
during this season.
They hadn't bought any all year amid a trade dispute. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent tells Fox Business will be resolved with a one-year deal signed as soon as next week.
I guess on the scale of from 0 to 10, with 10 being the best, I would say the meeting was at 12.
That's President Trump after he wrapped up his Asia trip holding talks with China's leader in South Korea, which led to this agreement. It includes a resolution to a dispute over China controlling rare earth mineral exports.
And those rare earths, of course, power everything from our iPhones to cars to fighter jets. Now, here's some more outlines of the deal. Dana Trump will reduce tariffs on China down to 47%, which is down from 57%. China will curb fentanyl trafficking.
That's Fox's Lucas Tomlinson from South Korea. The president also told reporters on Air Force One flying home he's ordering the U.S. to resume nuclear weapons testing, which hasn't happened in 33 years. Hamas is set this hour to hand over the remains of two more hostages it has to return as part of the ceasefire agreement. But Israel launched deadly airstrikes the other day after a Hamas attack and breach. The last remains returned the other day turned out not to be one of the 13 dead hostages Israel's still waiting for. 5 more arrests in Paris in the Louvre Museum jewel heist,
including one they call the prime or main suspect, maybe the ringleader. Remember, there were 4 people who broke into the upper floor window of the museum. They made off with $100 million worth of French crown jewels. 2 other suspects linked to the heist had been arrested over the weekend.
That's Fox's Greg Palcott. The nominee to be Surgeon General was supposed to have a hearing this morning. Instead, she's having a baby.
Casey Means' Surgeon General confirmation hearing is postponed because she went into labor with her first child. She was scheduled to appear virtually before the Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pension Committee because of her pregnancy and imminent due date.
That's Chris Foster. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm William Daughtry. A pedestrian was pronounced deceased following a collision on Georgia 11 near Shenandoah Drive in Winder. A preliminary investigation by the Georgia State Patrol indicates a Kia Optima was traveling north on the highway while a pedestrian was traveling south in the northbound lane. The Kia struck the pedestrian, with the impact sending the pedestrian to the east shoulder of the roadway. The pedestrian was taken to Northeast Georgia Medical Center Gainesville, where they were pronounced dead. The identities of the driver and pedestrian have not been released at this time. Flowery Branch's new deputy chief of police has a controversial past. WDUN's Caleb Hutchins reports.
The department announced on Monday that they hired former Glenn County Police Chief John Powell. Powell was fired from that role 10 months after being placed on leave following an indictment alleging a violation of oath of office. Powell was placed on administrative leave in February of 2020, just days after Ahmaud Arbery was fatally shot. Powell's department did not make any arrests until the GBI took over the case 2 months later. The Georgia Supreme Court threw out the indictment in 2024, which was unrelated to the Arbery case, but rather due to an alleged cover-up of a narcotics officer's affair with an informant.
Habersham County Animal Care and Control announced a positive rabies case near Sunshine Circle in Cornelia. The county received a report of a resident bitten by a stray cat last week. The cat was displaying clinical signs of rabies and was humanely euthanized. The cat was then sent to the CDC state laboratory for rabies testing. The positive test was received on Tuesday, marking the 4th positive case in Habersham this year. And officials in Jacksonville are warning fans of huge crowds for this Saturday's football game between the Georgia Bulldogs and the Florida Gators. If you're heading to Saturday's game, get there early. News 4 Jax reports construction on the Stadium of the Future in Jacksonville is expected to cause some delays. And while the new stadium has a few years to go before it's ready to host games, Jacksonville Mayor Donna Deegan recently said,
I know everybody is very, very excited about welcoming Florida and Georgia back here in 2028 when we kick off the brand new Stadium of the Future.
Gates at Everbank Stadium will open this Saturday afternoon at 1:30 with kickoff at 3:30. There's more news at Access WDUN.
As the leaves fall, it's the perfect time to prepare your garden for spring. And at Farmers Exchange, we've got the cover crops and soil amendments to keep your soil healthy and productive, including trusted brands like High Yield and Fertilome. Build your soil, beat the weeds, and get ready for a beautiful harvest next year. Visit Farmers Exchange, 951 South Main Street in Cleveland. Your local growing experts since 1928.
Todd Starnes here for the folks at Extreme Clean Auto Spa, where keeping your car clean is easy and affordable. Extreme Clean keeps your car looking great with the touch-free car wash at their Brownsbridge Road location. Plus, they make it affordable with monthly memberships for less than the price of 2 washes. And it's good for 1 wash per day. Now, that's what I call a great value. So keep your car clean without cleaning out your wallet. Visit Extreme Clean on Brownsbridge Road and just off White Sulphur Road in Gainesville. Veteran owned and operated. It's Extreme Clean Auto Spa.
Talking about the issues that affect you most. It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. Now from the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, here's Martha Zoller on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN. Always here, always local.
That's been sitting over there since September 19th. If I brought the House back and we passed another CR, it would meet the exact same fate from Chuck Schumer. He would mock it, they would spike it, and they would try to blame it on us. So what would be the point of that? We're all concerned about the timing. The Democrats are eating up the clock. We have very important work to do here, and that's why we're pleading with them, not Chuck Schumer. Look, I think Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries are irredeemable at this point. I don't think they'll be able to tell Mondami in New York and his disciples that they voted to open the government. I've given up on the leadership. So we're trying to appeal to a handful of moderates or centrists who care more about the American people and will put the people's interest over their own and do the right thing in the Senate. I mean, there's no point in me sitting down with Chuck Schumer. He's painted himself into a corner. I get all that. Mondami it looks like he's going to win and be the mayor of New York City. And Hakeem Jeffries came out and endorsed him. That's all you need to know. Hakeem Jeffries is terrified that Mondami, one of his disciples, is going to challenge him in his own seat in the election next fall. You've already seen that rumored. Some of you have reported on it. So he had to do it. He had to endorse socialism. He had to endorse Marxism. This dangerous ideology that has taken over the Democrat Party, that is what is motivating them. So it doesn't matter what we do in the House. It doesn't matter what we pass. We have to get a handful of moderates over there who care about America to do the right thing. We need at least 7 Democrats. It takes 60 votes in the Senate to pass it. This is not the Republicans. This fault is squarely on the shoulders of the Democrats, and they're the ones causing you the pain, and don't ever let them forget it. Thank you.
It's so funny because it's, the Democrats are the ones that have started this, calling everybody Hitler, calling everybody fascist, calling everybody names related to things. And I'm not talking about Democrats like mainstream Democrats. I'm talking about the AOCs of the world. And they talk about, getting rid of norms and all this kind of thing, but they don't think they are held to the same rules as everyone else. And there's a lot of people in power like that. But right now, the people that are showing their you-know-what the most are people like AOC. Now, I figure you need to laugh about something. There is this video that a kind of an SNL-type show in Israel did about Zoller and Mom Donnie. And he's cutting one of these great videos that he does. I mean, it's hard to tell this one actually from a real one. But it's pretty funny, and I hope you all get a laugh out of it. Here it is.
Hi, I'm Zoran Mamdani, candidate for mayor of New York City. To my Jewish friends and neighbors, shalom. Let me start by wishing you all a happy new year, or as you say in Hebrew, Intifada Tova.
Cut! It's Shana Tova. You said Intifada.
I did?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it again.
And action.
Hey, to all my Jewish New Yorkers, tonight we celebrate Rosh Hashanah with a festive family dinner and dance joyfully to the beloved song, Jihada, Nagil Jihada.
Cut! I'm pretty sure it's Hava Nagila.
Oh, of course.
Action!
I want to reassure you, I embrace all cultures. I love bagels, and I also love Hamas.
Hummus.
Hummus. God.
Action!
Dear Jewish friends, I promise you, I will fight anti-Semitism. I think about the Holocaust every day, that horrible time when Jews were transported by trains to the concentration camps. And it always reminds me of how my aunt stopped taking the train because she was afraid to go with a hijab after 9/11.
What?
Vote for me. And together we'll make New York City better and safer for Jews from Islamophobia.
Okay, so, you got to have a sense of humor because he is a very good communicator, and all the really evil leaders are, okay? I think that many people, I think the best argument, not the best argument against Donald Trump not being Hitler. He's not Hitler. No one is Hitler. No one, will be Hitler. No elected official yet in America is a Hitler. But Zoran Mandami is a little bit like that. I'm not calling him Hitler, but he's a smooth talker. And he's got a lot of people following him blindly when he has no real history. And this is a lot more like the rise of the Third Reich than anything that's happened with Donald Trump or any elections in the last 12 years. So who knows? New York's been here before. Everybody talked about the Madison Square Garden event that happened before when Trump was running for office in 2024 and said it was like the one that was in 38 or 39 in New York. So New York has had this problem before because New York has always been a city of immigrants, always. And they've gone through cycles in this. So they have always been adaptable to some of these crazy ideas or had people that live in the city that believe some of these crazy ideas. But they've been able to get through it mainly because of them being the financial district in the world. And so there were enough people that were capitalists to offset it. But that's changing now. And I think we need to do a better job of teaching capitalism. I overhear a lot of conversations with younger people, and I don't always chime in. Sometimes I do, but I want to listen. I want to know what they really think. And they don't understand the value of being able to expand the pie. The key difference, if you wanted to explain socialism to people, socialism believes that there is one pie, and the pie has to be split up in a certain way, and that you can't grow the pie. Capitalism does not buy into the concept that you can't grow something, that there's more than 8 slices to a pie, and the pie can get bigger. That's kind of the easiest way to explain it to a child or to someone that needs to understand about it. Sometimes our grown-up children are children, and they need to understand how economies work. You can join us on the phones at 770-535-2911. Got a couple of text messages that came in. Let's see. Oh, the first person said, Steven said, hey, I wasn't wearing my glasses when I sent that first text. It was supposed to say that politicians will continue to get wealthy. Could have been a Freudian slip because I was thinking of a not so nice word for politicians. So that was from Steven. Then Kelly in Gainesville said, I have called both of our senators' offices multiple times to ask them to vote to open the government. And it sounds like their office just doesn't care. It was clearly a nuisance that I called. This is also causing problems with the SBA funding loans for small businesses. And we did have, that's Kelly in Gainesville, and we had Kelly Loeffler on a couple of weeks ago talking about that, how these small business loans are being affected, and 36 businesses in Georgia every week are being impacted by the fact that they cannot get a small business loan. We got another text message in that said, socialism is just an extension of the parenting today. Parents are raising their children with a socialist mentality by giving them everything. And then Jerry, a retired veteran, said, in the who's right, who's wrong battle, through my eyes, the Republicans are doing what they normally do. They clarify their position on one outlet only, whereas the left, Democrats, will permeate social media. You will see Schumer, AOC, many other Democrats all week on social media amplifying their position. If you're losing your SNAP benefits this weekend, it's because of the Republicans, which is their position. The uneducated / unwashed it's a constant message ad nauseum, whereas the Republicans state their position at their meetings, videos with very little exposure on social media. I've watched it all week, and it's disappointing. Our president is overseas. Our vice president is at a Turning Point rally. The Secretary of State is with the president, and I think they took their eye off the ball for countering the drumbeat of who's to blame. It's frustrating, but it does motivate me to pray for this country. I think there's something going on with the algorithm on X, and I've seen some messages from Elon Musk related to that, because there are a bunch of liberal people that I don't follow that are showing up in my stream. There's some woman who I've never seen before now all of a sudden is showing up all the time. And this is why I do a lot less social media than I used to, because I don't trust it. I would rather talk to you. I would rather message with you directly. I would rather hear from you by phone, because I know what I believe. And I need to, I don't really need to look at the whole social media situation all the time. I think it's bad. If you get your news from Facebook, don't do it. I think my best advice about news is get to your local radio station, number one. And I'm not saying that to be self-serving. It's that we don't have an agenda. But number two, there is an app called Ground News that will tell you how stories are being covered, and you can judge for yourself if something is one-sided or not. I think that's a better way to go. We'll be back.
It's no accident that J.D. Miller is the most frequent guest on my program. This is Phil Bonelli, and on the next edition of North Georgia Business Radio, J.D., Division President of Cadence Bank, and I will share more valuable stories and leadership skills. Saturday at 3 on WDUN. Always here, always local.
You already know Gainesville Mechanical for their award-winning HVAC service, but did you know they handle plumbing too? Because plumbing problems never happen in a good time, you need a trusted, experienced team there when they do. From small leaks to major repairs, Gainesville Mechanical is here for you with 24/7 no overtime rates through their Customer Assurance Maintenance Plan. Proud to be named Best of Hall for HVAC and plumbing, Gainesville Mechanical and Bryant, doing whatever it takes to keep North Georgia cool since 1989.
Great Chevy vehicles and excellent customer service. Those were the cornerstones that Charles and Jeanette Hardy built Hardy Chevrolet on in 1982, and that hasn't changed. This is Mike Cormier inviting you to Hardy Chevrolet. Come see how enjoyable car shopping can be. From our sales team to our service department, we're all about customer service. Like Charles Hardy always said,
we love you and we need you.
Together, let's drive. At Hardy Chevrolet, Browns Bridge Road in Gainesville, online at hardychevrolet.com.
It's Mike Robertson of Oakwood Tire and More. As our name suggests, we can handle all your tire needs, but some have asked what we mean when we say and more. At Oakwood Tire, we're more than just tires. We also handle general repair. We handle alignments, brakes, AC service, suspension work. Speaking of suspension work, if you're looking to upgrade your ride, we can put tires, wheels, lift kit, anything like that on there. See us at www.oakwoodtire.com. Stop by at 3120 Atlanta Highway, where we're more than just tires.
Check your pockets and you'll find a quarter ready to inspire you to visit the state you find on the back. It's America the Great on a podcast called Quarter Miles Travel, from Virginia's historic sites to the wide open plains of Montana, the low country rhythms of coastal Georgia to the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina. Explore America based on the U.S. Mint State Quarters. Hi, it's Anita with Travel with Anita and Friends. Quarter Miles Travel is all about pride in our states and our country. The natural beauty, the history, landmarks, and interesting people all make our country an exceptional place to visit. Go to my website, travelwithanita.com, where you will hear the podcast with stories told by historians and people who know the little-known facts. So come along, let's go on an adventure. Reach in your pocket and pull out that quarter. Flip it over, and Quarter Miles Travel will take it from there. We'll help you turn that quarter into an adventure.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet newsroom, a pedestrian is struck and killed while walking along a state road in Winder Wednesday. Details at Access WDUN. And coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Let's talk about the New York City mayor's race. And again, there's a bunch of news we'll get to too. But Michael Bloomberg just tweeted. First, I told you he's putting more money into the pro Cuomo anti-Madami super PAC. Here's what he just tweeted: 4 months ago, I endorsed Andrew Cuomo because I thought his management experience and government know-how made him the best choice for New Yorkers. I still do. And today, with early voting underway, I wanted to reiterate my support for Andrew Cuomo. Being mayor of New York City is the second toughest job in America, and the next mayor will face immense challenges. Andrew Cuomo has the experience and toughness to stand up for New Yorkers and get things done. I hope you'll join me in supporting him. Mike Bloomberg used to be my boss. I can tell you this. He would not be giving money. He would not be retweeting his endorsement if he wasn't shown data that shows this is a winnable race. He just wouldn't.
So it's very interesting that we're hearing that from a number of different sources. And, really, I'm hoping something will happen today or tomorrow that 6 Democrats will come to their senses and Rand Paul and vote to invoke cloture and accept the loss if that's what they look at it as, because they're not going to vote to keep the government open, but they can vote for cloture, because that's, when you're on a team, which is what the U.S. Senate is, sometimes you got to take one for the team, and that's what you need to do here. But in this case, you're doing it for the American people so that you can wind things back up again. There are a bunch of blue states that are suing the federal government over this. I think they need to be on the phone to their United States senators and telling them to vote to open the government. That's what they need to do. You can join us on the phones at 770-535-2911. I think Michael Bloomberg is interesting. I think this race is not a 20-point race. People are not crazy in New York. I'm not saying that Mom Donnie won't win, but I'm saying that it's going to be a lot closer one way or another. And Andrew Cuomo, I think that I hope he's learned his lesson from the mistakes that he made as the governor of New York. It is certainly a bit of a step down to go from governor of New York to the mayor of New York, but I'm sure that he wants to redeem himself. He doesn't want to go out on a loss like he did before. I'm sorry that Eric Adams isn't going to get a second term, because I think he learned a lot in his first term. But again, I don't live in New York, but it does matter. So if on Tuesday, you can early vote today and tomorrow, okay? But on Tuesday is election day, and if the Republican wins in New Jersey, that's going to be like an earthquake. If Republicans maintain control in Virginia and Mom Donnie doesn't win, or any combination of those three, it could be very interesting. Let's go to the phones now and talk to Chris in Gainesville. Hey, Chris, how you doing?
Good. How are you, Martha?
I'm good.
I want to tell you how much I enjoy your show, first of all. And this thing about social media, I think social media is, people use it as a form of entertainment. People also use it, I guess, as a mind check. Am I thinking the right thing? And I think a lot of people are influenced by social media in the election. Look what Donald Trump did when he got elected.
Yeah, I mean, he absolutely, this is why he loves TikTok now, right? Because he thinks that he got a lot of young voters through TikTok. I'm not saying that you should never use social media. I think you need to be aware that sometimes you're getting fed just what you're looking at. You're only getting fed things that you will agree with, as opposed to getting a full picture on things.
Right. And I think that's how big you open up your umbrella. For example, this morning, the left was saying that because SNAP benefits are not going to be renewed, children are having to eat dirt, which is ridiculous. I mean, who believes that?
Yeah, and I do think that things like Facebook, I hate Nextdoor because I just think it's a bunch of gossiping. But things like Facebook are good because you can organize groups that have like-minded issues where maybe you want to organize about certain things. They're great ways to let people know about meetings and events and all of that sort of thing. But I think that if you are solely getting your news from social media, you gotta, like you said, widen your umbrella.
Here's a perfect example. There's been a group started here in Gainesville that has now grown to over 8,000 people. And now people are starting to listen, and now Parks and Rec is joining, and prominent people in Gainesville are joining. And I think that people are starting to listen, and now the school board is being influenced by it. And I think that's probably a good thing, because sometimes it gives a voice to the voiceless.
No, I think you're right. But again, it can't be your only source of information.
I agree. I totally agree. But I appreciate you, and I think you do a great job, and I appreciate everything that you're doing.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it very much. So, look, like I got an email today from Hall County Citizens Group that is a part of a group on Facebook, and they've sent a press release out about the Attorney General's office saying that they failed to take enforcement action following a documented violation of the Georgia Open Meetings Act. Now, I think to be fair, I don't know if this group has given the Attorney General's office, and look, I want to be completely transparent. I support Chris Carr for governor. Okay, he is the Attorney General, so I want my bias to be right there out on the table. But I know that any kind of action like this, whether because I get involved in these open records actions or these sunshine law actions related to my work with the State Board of Education. And so I'll get these emails where you're required to turn over every text message and email that you have on a particular issue. And you're given a couple of month window to do that. It's not like, hey, we're going to do this and you have to turn it over and you've got 24 hours to do it, because it's an investigation and investigations take a while. So what this press release is alleging, and it is a group, and we've had Jody White on before that is concerned about this particular issue, that it was a September 15th meeting in which a quorum of 3 commissioners and 2 planning staff members reportedly met without public notice. This is really only about 30 days since this meeting happened. That's really not enough. Maybe it should be, but it's not enough time in my experience to be able to gather all the documentation to be sure of what was going on, because you have to give everybody an opportunity to tell the story. Now, I'm going to check during the next break to be sure kind of where this is, because I don't believe nothing's been done on this. I think there's been actions that have been taken. There are things that were tabled, people that are, involved in different things. So I want to get the information before I talk more about it. But I'm using this as an example of a group that has a Facebook group, that is a community group, and they try to get information out related to things. And I think that is a positive thing in today's world on how you get things done. But it does, Chris is a good friend of mine that just called in, and I know that she had a long experience dealing with something she thought was corrupt in the judicial system. And it took a very long time to get the answers. And I can argue this both ways. And what I mean by that is, I don't want anybody's career to be ruined over allegations that cannot be proven. Okay, because people can say anything, and you want to make sure that you've got proof. I can argue the other side on this particular thing, though, because we know that this meeting happened on September the 15th that had more than the allowed number of people to attend that would invoke the Sunshine Law, which is also called the Georgia Open Meetings Law. So we'll have to see what the status is, and I have reached out to the Attorney General's office to get an update on where they are on this particular complaint. But I can tell you, things take longer than you think they're going to do, especially when you're dealing with calling out corruption, because you don't want to wrongly accuse somebody of something. Our legal system is based upon we would rather a guilty person go free than have an innocent person be charged with something. Well, it's the same thing with corruption thing. You would rather let a corrupt person go on for a little bit longer than have innocent people labeled with being corrupt, because it's really hard to go back from that. But I'm going to try to get more information. We'll be back.
Hey folks, Todd Starnes here. When it comes to keeping pests out of your home, Mark Turner at Select Pest Control has it figured out. As the name implies, you get to select whether you want their professional team to take care of those pesky pests, or if you'd rather do it yourself, visit their retail store on Browns Bridge Road in Gainesville. Since 1993, Mark and his great staff have offered professional service, products, and advice to North Georgia. Visit them online at selectpest.net, or better yet, stop by Select Pest Control today and tell them Todd sent you.
Let's go! You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine, and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Oh, how's that flu, babe? Did you take DayQuil Intense Flu yet?
Nah, I got this. Ugh, okay, I don't got this.
You stay on the couch, and I'll grab the DayQuil.
Undo your flu symptoms with DayQuil Intense Flu. DayQuil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms.
I'm ready for that to-do list.
Wow, you do got this.
DayQuil Intense Flu. The daytime coughing, aching, fever, under your flu, medicine. Use as directed, keep out of reach of children.
Want the latest rumor? Check social media.
Social media plays a big role in today's society.
Want to know if it's true? Log on to accesswdun.com. We focus on the facts and leave the fiction to the others.
It's trustworthy and reliable.
Online news powered by North Georgia's News Talk. WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 10:30.
Fox News, I'm CJ Papa. President Trump giving the meeting with China today in South Korea rave reviews, adding there's no roadblock to rare earth minerals from that nation.
All of the rare earth has been settled, and that's for the world. I mean, worldwide. This was a worldwide situation, not just a U.S. situation.
President on board Air Force One. China did not buy any soybeans from the U.S. this year, but Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent telling Fox Business that's changing.
The Chinese have agreed to buy 12 million metric tons of soybeans during this season.
That extends for the next 3 years. The deal still has to be formally signed. Confirmation process for Dr. Casey Means, the president's pick to become Surgeon General, postponed after she went into labor. She's 9 months pregnant.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow. A Wednesday morning wreck in Winder has left a pedestrian dead. WDUN's William Daughtry has this report.
A preliminary investigation by the Georgia State Patrol indicates a Kia Optima was traveling north on Georgia 11 while a pedestrian was traveling south in the northbound lane. The Kia struck the pedestrian with the impact sending the pedestrian to the east shoulder of the roadway. The pedestrian was taken to Northeast Georgia Medical Center, Gainesville, where they were pronounced dead.
Identities of the driver and pedestrian have not been released as of last report. Habersham County Animal Care and Control confirming a positive case of rabies in the Sunshine Circle area of Cornelia. More from WDUN's Lawson Smith.
County officials said the case stems from an incident last week in which a resident was bitten by a stray cat. Animal control officers responded and captured the animal, which was showing rabies symptoms. The cat was humanely euthanized and sent to the CDC state laboratory for testing. On Tuesday, results confirmed that the animal was positive for rabies, marking the fourth confirmed case in Habersham County this year.
And Toccoa police ask for the public's help to find a man who has not been seen since May at the Big A Road McDonald's. 27-year-old Christian Staton has been missing since that time, and anyone with leads is asked to contact Toccoa police. A description of Staton and an image can be found with more news at Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN Thursday forecast.
North Georgia, mostly cloudy skies is what we've been dealing with. Into the afternoon, mostly cloudy, but you'll start to notice some breaks towards evening. Skies will turn partly cloudy, mid-50s for highs. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Brazelton, 49 degrees, Commerce, 50, and in Gainesville, 48. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Home means family values, safety and security from a crazy world. It's not about a commission on a sale. A home is a place to raise children, build families, dinners, celebrations, and connections. It's roots for a life well lived. Local people helping local families with local real estate. Norton means local. You need Norton now more than ever. I'm Frank Norton Jr., the Norton Agency. Call us at 770-532-0022 or look for us on the web at gonorton.com. Our family is serving North Georgia for 4 generations.
It doesn't matter if you're a homeowner or running a business. Waste happens. Your go-to to make it go away? Waste Eliminator. They offer collection, disposal, recycling, and environmental services for business and home cleanout. Visit wasteeliminator.com. Click Order Dumpster, and before you know it, your dumpster is reporting for duty. Yep, it's that easy. Environmentally responsible and committed to customer service. It's Waste Eliminator. See them today at wasteeliminator.com.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical, from the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
That this is the Republicans' fault. If you are in charge, you have to negotiate. And just saying over and over, we need to open the government and then we promise we'll do it.
We have to negotiate, meaning we have to give in to you.
You have to give something. That is how this works.
I think.
And what are you planning on giving?
Just allowing this to happen is a cooperation. You guys have to actually somehow stop lying to us about these benefits.
Nothing that I have said is a lie. Nothing at all. If you get 90% of the big, beautiful bill and you have to protect Americans' health care, which, by the way, they'll reward you at the polls. Because guess what? People like to have health care coverage and they don't want to see their premiums go up 114%. You will be thanking me. You will not be mocking me. You will be bowing down at my altar about the fact that I saved your party.
Yes.
We know how this ends. When it first started, I said, we all know how this is going to end. It will end with the Democrats caving. The pain is optional. They continue the suffering.
It is the Martha Zoller Show. We know how this is going to end. The Democrats are going to cave. The pain is optional. You know, one thing Justice Katarloff said or she says a lot of things I disagree with, but what she said was, if you are in charge, you have to negotiate. No, that's not how it works. If you're in the minority, you have to negotiate. That's the way it works, folks, in every kind of discussion. If you are the majority, you set the rules, and then the minority has to come in and do some negotiating. They got to do some give and take because the power position is always with the majority. So we'll see how it all happens. Now, I did do a little checking during the break about the open record situation, or I think it's the sunshine law situation is a little fairer way to put it. And just so that we're clear, because there is a press release out there that is going to be going around there, and I want to get back to it. Somehow there it is. Okay. There was a meeting on September 15th of the Hall County Commissioners and Planning. It appears that some of the people did not know what the meeting was going to be about. And there was some actual business going on because you can meet with two, but if you get to three, then you got to have it be an open meeting. And there are people, and Shannon Davidson was on the show, and he said that he did not know what the meeting was going to be about until he got there. And so on the particular September 15th meeting, they did not find any evidence that there was anything wrong and anything had to be done. They did find other meetings that are being looked into right now. So this is not closed. And that was the one thing that this email or this press release implies, that nothing's being done, and that's not the case. Now, again, I always want to be fair. I support Chris Carr for governor. I think he's been a fantastic AG. Now, does that mean you're going to agree with everything he's ever done as an attorney general? No, it is not going to. You are not going to agree with everything he's ever done. You don't agree with everything Brian Kemp's done. Maybe you agree with everything Donald Trump's done, but if you were being honest with yourself, you shouldn't agree with everything everybody does. You're a robot if that's the case. I disagree with people all the time. So you can join us on the phones at 770-535-2911. We'll continue to try to follow up on all of these particular issues, around the corner, around the world. We're talking about it here. Want to remind you also that you have 2 more days of early voting. Please get out and vote. Vote for PSC. Vote for the SPLOST, for or against the SPLOST. I voted for the SPLOST, and I voted for the 2 Republicans running for Public Service Commission because I think they're doing a good job. Do I love everything they do? No. But I don't trust the Democratic agenda to get rid of any kind of energy that is not renewable. I think renewables are a part of the mix, but they cannot be all the mix. That's how you ended up with people freezing to death in Texas a couple of years ago when there was a huge cold snap and they didn't have enough renewables to be able to keep everybody warm. And I'm exaggerating by saying freezing to death. I don't know if people actually died from the cold, but you're a lot more likely to die from the cold than you are from the heat. And we've got to make sure that those particular situations are taken care of. Let's go to the phones now and talk to Doug in Cumming. Hey, Doug, how you doing?
Oh, just fine. How are you?
I'm great.
I watch your show that's on, I can't remember what channel it is, 5, I think.
Channel 5, yes.
And you do a very good job, and I appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to make a comment about the shutdown. I call real frequent to both of our senators. Even though I voted Republican, I call and ask them to please cross party lines and vote to open the government back up again. And for Senator Ossoff, he needs to be reminded, and people need to tell him that, just ask him this question. Do you want to be remembered as a person that shut the government down, or do you want to be remembered as a person that helped to open it up? And I think even if I were a Democrat, I would want to be remembered as a person that helped to open the government back up. And I would ask the people in our county to please vote across party lines and vote for just vote for America. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Thanks for your call today. Appreciate it very much. And look, I think that, I love what Dana Perino said, is that the Democrats are going to cave, but the pain is optional. There were enough votes to keep the government open on September the 19th when the Senate got this bill. This didn't have to happen. None of this had to happen. And try to make the case when every single Republican, all but one Republican voted to keep the government open, and 3 Democrats crossed over from the beginning to vote, to try to make the case that the Republicans are responsible for shutting down the government when all the Republicans on the House side and 36 Democrats voted to keep the government open, and all but one of the Republicans on the Senate side, 52, and 3 Democrats voted to keep the government open from the beginning. You can't make the case when the holdouts are all Democrats. Well, there's one, to be fair, there's one Republican, Rand Paul. But Rand Paul, I think, needs to change his vote too, and people need to call his office in Kentucky too and tell him he needs to vote to put the government open and to vote for cloture. He may be voting for cloture even though he's voting no. That I need to double check that. But, he's got to make sure that everything happens and we deal with things the way we should. We'll take a break. We'll be back.
Fuel our discussions with your opinions.
We need to talk about common sense here.
We're the station that gives you a voice.
It's my local station.
We're North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
This is Nick
and Laura from Nichols Body Shop.
We want you to know it's your choice who repairs your vehicle.
Do not assume you can get the best repair for the cheapest price.
Every shop is different.
We work for you, our customer, to give you the best repair possible.
Learn more by calling 770-967-8200 or come by the shop. Estimates are always free.
You can also find us on Facebook at Nichols Body Shop,
the home of quality repairs
and old-fashioned service.
This is Grant Nichols, and at Loretta's Country Kitchen, we know life can really pile up. There's work, getting the kids to practice, shopping. With all that, the week can really wear you out. The last thing you want to do is spend Saturday in the kitchen. Not to worry, we have you covered with Saturday lunch at Loretta's. That's right, not only are we open for breakfast on Saturdays, we're also serving up lunch from 11 a.m. till 2 p.m. Give your kitchen and your family a break with Saturday lunch at Loretta's Country Kitchen, Mundy Mill Road, Oakwood, where it's all good.
So it's time to replace your roof. You've seen your neighbor's metal roof and wondered if that's for you. The answer is yes, thanks to Dawsonville Metal Products. Metal roofing from Dawsonville Metal gives you the maximum choices for making your roof look and function its best. It can be installed over your existing roof and can boost your home's value. Let Justin Odom show you the many benefits of metal roofing. Call Dawsonville Metal Products at 706-265-3099 and visit them online at dawsonvillemetal.com.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why the big wireless companies want you on an unlimited plan? It's because they need you to help cover the costs of the 20-somethings who are using a lot of data every month. Fact is, according to the latest research studies, most people 50 and up, like me, only use 12 gigs or less each month. Don't get bamboozled by big wireless. At Consumer Cellular, pick what suits your needs. Whether it's 1 gig, 5, 10, or unlimited, the point is, pay for exactly what you need and nothing more. We use the same towers as the big guys, but since we don't own and maintain them, we can pass the savings on to you. Our plans start at just $20 a month, and you'll get the best customer service in the business. I want to invite you to join the millions of people who choose something better than big wireless. Because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, City of Flowery Branch announces the hiring of a new Deputy Chief of Police with a colorful past history and leadership. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and this is kind of funny because even though our governor's a big dog fan, he doesn't get that involved in talking about coaches. But LSU just fired their coach, and the governor of Louisiana just came out and made an amazing statement that I thought was worth listening to. Here it is.
The first question is absolutely correct. We are not going down a failed path. And I wanted to tell you something. This is a pattern. The guy that's here now that wrote that contract cost Texas A&M $70-something million. Right now, we got a $53 million liability. We are not doing that again. And you know what? I believe that we're going to find a great coach. I mean, maybe we'll let President Trump pick it. He loves winners. You know, I'm not going to be picking the next coach. But I can promise you, we're going to pick a coach, and we're going to make sure that that coach is successful. And we're going to make sure that he's compensated properly. And we're going to put metrics on it. Because I'm tired of rewarding failure in this country. And then leaving the taxpayers on the foot, to foot the bill. So, yeah, I absolutely. Who's that? No. I can tell you right now, Scott Woodward is not selecting the next coach. Hell, I'll let Donald Trump select it before I let him do it. I don't know, but the Board of Supervisors is going to come up with a committee, and they're going to go find us a coach.
So this is so interesting, Logan, because the governor is not involved in picking the coach, but evidently LSU does not have kind of a separate athletic association like we do, because basically there's very little taxpayer money involved in Kirby Smart's contract. I mean, he's got a regular salary for being a coach at the University of Georgia, but that's not his $13 million salary that he gets.
Right.
There's like some regular salary he gets. It's probably a couple of $100,000 that he gets for working for the University of Georgia that allows him to be in the pension plan and all this kind of stuff and makes him technically a state employee, even though he has this thing over here. But evidently Louisiana is going to have to buy out the rest of the LSU, Brian Kelly's contract, and that the taxpayers are involved in some way.
I never would have thought that. Normally, whenever I think of coaches getting fired and teams kind of footing the bill for it, I don't ever think, oh, how does this affect the taxpayers? I was just assumed that the sports franchises or even the schools are just kind of their own entity, like you said, and that they're the ones who are going to handle it. But apparently, that's not the case in Louisiana. And you heard the governor and his very spirited thoughts there about who they should potentially go for as the next head coach. But yeah, I believe it's $53 million, so it ain't cheap by any means necessary.
No, it's so crazy because certainly they've had a couple of situations where we've had to fire coaches, but I mean, $53 million that he gets. It is just absolutely crazy. It is absolutely crazy. So they'll, just have her come on in and sit down. Logan, that's what we'll do. We'll have her come on in and sit down. That'll be great. Martha Randolph is here. She's going to have her big Thanksgiving feed, and we're going to talk with her about it later on as we get closer. But she's here for she and I to talk about that after the show today. But I just think it's so crazy when you look at this. It goes to show you how big football is. I was listening yesterday to Brandon Tatum, who is he's known as Officer Tatum. He's with Turning Point, all that kind of thing. But he was talking about how he grew up in Texas. He was a number one recruit. He ended up going to the University of Arizona and playing football, and his brother played at the University of Texas. And he had hoped to end up playing the NFL, but ended up being a police officer instead and took a different path. But he was trying to explain to these foreigners that were interviewing him what football meant in the United States. And I guess you just can't use the example of soccer because soccer in the UK is crazy. But NFL football and college football is just incredible as far as it goes. And you listen to people that don't understand how we feel about football, Logan, and it's like it's another world.
No, it really does feel that way because, like you said, football in the South, both college and professional, more so college, I would say, leaning, but it's a whole different world. You know how we say, like in Texas, right? We talk about high school football. They have multi-million-dollar high school stadiums, and I know Buford just opened theirs up earlier this season, which is still wild to see over there. But it's it's a different animal, especially down south.
So this week, where's the Falcons playing? Berlin?
They play in Berlin next week. This week they're hoping to get back on track after a tough loss.
That was a tough loss.
Oh, it was brutal.
The NFL is doing these games in Europe now, right?
They are, yeah.
And I think it's kind of interesting because usually they're on early in the morning because it's a 5 or 6 hour time difference. So it's like a football game that's going to be at 9:30 in the morning in most cases. So the Falcons they've done a few of these, right? I don't follow the Falcons really anymore because they're so heartbreaking. It's like I have been a Falcons fan since I was like 9 years old, but they broke my heart so many times that over the last 9 or 10 years, I kind of glance at it, but I find myself not getting crushed so much by following college football.
Well, since the Super Bowl that the Falcons famously lost, as we all know here in the area, they haven't even been back to the playoffs. That's how much they've struggled here in the last decade. Just even getting to the postseason, it seems a little bleak right now. They're 3-4 on the year. I believe 2 or 3 games behind Tampa Bay for the division, and a wild card even more so just because a lot of teams are jumbled up there. But the Falcons, they're going to be playing the Colts in Berlin. That's going to be on November 9th, so next week. It's going to be a 9:30 a.m. kick, so if you're waking up, get some coffee and watch some Falcons football.
So you may know the answer to this question, but I keep seeing the ads for Tom Brady for Fox Sports, but I don't see him on that much. Is he just covering individual games? Do you know, or is it just they're just advertising him and they haven't brought him in yet?
He's done some commentary for just kind of select games, just whatever they assign him to, just as a broadcaster. He's not going to be like a Jim Nance or whoever who's going to be in all the big games, but because he is still, like I said, he's still new at broadcasting.
And then finally, Matt Ryan. I saw him on the Fox panel, the Fox Sports panel.
Right.
Okay, which is carrying a lot of the football games, and obviously Fox Sports is doing the baseball game, which I got a funny story about that on the World Series after the Matt Ryan, but he looks great. I mean, I think he's found his niche. I mean, he never had the kind of team around him to allow him to be the kind of quarterback he really could have been. I mean, he had a good career, don't get me wrong. He got to a Super Bowl even though he lost it. But he does a really good job on the commentary.
I've always enjoyed him in his commentary role as he switched over there the last couple of years. He seems like a natural fit, and like I said, he's adored here in the area, so we're all still cheering him on whenever we see him on TV. But no, he has great style in broadcasting, and I'm glad that he found a valuable career after the game of football, which he was in for 10, 15 years. So made a good career of it.
So anyway, I've been talking to you about my trials and tribulations related to, related to all the things that are happening with streaming.
Oh, okay? Yes.
And live sports streaming. And I got to tell you, pretty much I can watch any college football game between my ESPN one and honestly hijacking on YouTube. I mean,
YouTube has a lot of options as well.
Yeah, WABC, which is an ABC affiliate, which ABC now has the SEC games. So they are on YouTube, and you don't have to have YouTube TV to do it. So I've been able to watch all my games. The big problem I'm having is with the World Series because MLB.com, the MLB app does not carry the games.
Correct.
Okay, it's just the audio, which, I could listen to the radio for that.
Right.
Okay. I'm not paying for I got this fancy like $39 for the whole year because my grandkids.
Yeah, and you found a good deal on it.
I bought it about halfway into the baseball season, so I got $39 for the whole year, so I figured that was worth it. But I figured I'd at least be able to watch the World Series.
Unfortunately not. They give them out to, whatever individual cable networks are still out there, and that's the only way you can still watch the World Series at this point.
So they did try, there was like a hijack version on YouTube. But here's what they do. You go on, and about 30 seconds into it, this block comes up over the feed. So like you can see the game around the edges of the feed.
You got to look around it.
But they got this block there. And then you click in the comment section, and it takes you to Google Play, and then they charge you $11 to watch the game. So we don't do that.
No, I don't blame
we're just listening to it and getting it that way. And I don't have a dog in the fight anyway because I don't care about Montreal or the Dodgers.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the Braves aren't in it.
I care about Freddie Freeman.
Like I said, I always wish Freddie, the best in any other former Braves on either respective club. But no, I've been able to watch the World Series mostly just because it starts at 8 o'clock mostly on most nights, and I get here at 5 in the morning, so I don't stay up and watch that. Like I said, especially because I don't have a dog in the fight. The Braves.
So you didn't watch the 18-inning game all the way to the end?
That 18-inning game ended I think an hour before I came into work. It ended at 3:30, and I just woke up. I'm like, what do you mean the recap was only posted 50 minutes ago?
It was so funny because they interviewed one of the players from the game, and they asked him what he did after the game because this was like the next game at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock before they started at 8. He says, well, I got home about 2:30 in the morning, and then so that was West Coast time.
Yes.
And then I got something to eat and tried to sleep, and then I got to the recovery because they have all this fancy recovery equipment for him in the thing. But he basically got 3 hours of sleep and then was back playing again.
That was the most brutal thing is that you didn't have a whole lot of recovery time because you had to be back at the ball field at probably for them 4 or 5 in the afternoon for the game at 8. And that they're still reeling from all that. And as we get closer towards the end of the World Series here.
But Ohtani's amazing.
Ohtani is a heck of a ball player on both sides.
And
no doubt.
I think he's a robot. Because
you think so?
He's really tall. And he doesn't fit your normal view of a player. I think he's a robot. We're gonna discuss that tomorrow. We're always here, always local.